It's November 26th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a vanishing fortune, a chilling message beamed into British living rooms, and a pharaoh's hidden chamber. Let's begin. On November 26th, 1983, London's Heathrow Airport was still waking up when 6 men slipped into the Brinks-Mat security warehouse. They thought they were there for a simple cash robbery, but in the cold glow of the vault lights, the men froze, staring at something they were never meant to see. 6,800 solid gold bricks worth the equivalent of £26 million. What happened next became known as the crime of the century. The men loaded the gold, melted it down, and funneled it into the streets of London, where the invisible network of criminals, corrupt dealers, and unsuspecting jewelers helped wash it clean. But as the fortune spread, something darker began to follow. Over the years, people connected with the heist started dying, but in ways investigators described as highly suspicious. Informants vanished, middlemen were found dead under unexplained circumstances, even detectives on the case expressed fear that the gold had created a change of consequences no one could control. The deaths not from a curse, but from the underworld, exacting its own justice. And here's the eerie truth. Despite the raids, arrests, and decades of searching, most of the gold has never been found. It is believed that some of it may still be in circulation, hidden inside everyday jewelry, tucked away in private collections, or quietly resting in the hands of people who have no idea how soaked in blood its origins really are. On November 26, 1977, across southern England, families were settling in for the evening news. The broadcast was ordinary. Headlines, weather, nothing out of the ordinary. And then, without warning, the picture began to flicker. The image distorted, the voice of the newsreader slowly faded away. A new voice took its place, metallic and echoing. For the next 6 minutes, televisions across the region were hijacked by an unknown entity calling himself a representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command. The voice warned humanity about violence, technology, and the future of Earth, speaking with unsettling authority as though it had rehearsed this moment for centuries. Engineers at the station panicked. The signal override shouldn't have been possible. Someone should have needed direct access to a high-powered transmitter, equipment guarded and monitored constantly, yet no alarms were tripped. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Broadcast returned to normal, and the newsreader continued as if nothing had happened. In the days that followed, investigations began. Experts searched for the culprit, pranksters, hackers, even disgruntled engineers, but no one ever came forward. No trace was ever discovered, and even today, the identity of the hijacker remains one of the most unsettling, unsolved broadcast intrusions in history. Thousands of viewers heard the message. Maybe it was a hoax, maybe it was something else, but whatever hijacked the signal had knowledge and access. So, what or who was it? On November 26, 1922, deep in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, archaeologist Howard Carter stood before a sealed stone door that had not been touched in more than 3,000 years. Carter raised his chisel, pierced open a small gap, and lifted his candle to the darkness beyond. For a moment, nothing. Then, glints of gold flickered back at him. He had opened the treasure chamber of King Tutankhamun. Inside sat chests overflowing with jewelry, ritual statues staring with blank, ancient eyes, and an enormous shrine dedicated to the boy king. The room was untouched, impossibly preserved. It felt less like a discovery and more like an intrusion. The whispers started immediately among the workers, stories of curses meant to punish anyone who disturbs the pharaoh's rest. Carter dismissed this as superstition, but then the deaths began. Lord Carvaughton, the expedition's patron, died suddenly, then another, and another, each passing under strange, unexplained circumstances. And the newspapers called it the mummy's curse, but scientists called it a coincidence. The pattern appeared to be undeniable. By the time the excavation ended, more than a dozen people connected to the tomb had fallen ill and died mysteriously. Even today, a century later, historians still argue whether it was mere chance or something older and darker. So, the deaths may have been natural, but the timing was anything but. Some mysteries resist explanation, even after a century. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.